Yeah, and so it's not just about going out there and yelling revolution, revolution. It's about building up to that level. And the other thought I had was sort of there's this classical curve of technology adoption, right? Starts with the early adopters, and then there's the laggards. And so new for a laggard is going to mean something very very different than new for an early adopter, right? And there's different kinds of people that expect different things, and you definitely want to be careful with that. And then the other thing I was thinking about was oftentimes I think there's this myth that innovation or something new comes from radical new insights or perspectives, but it's often by recombining existing elements that you get to something new. And I think we can all, I mean, probably, if we were in a room and we had 10 minutes together for every industry, for every product, for every type of thing that you buy, we could come up with some way of reconfiguring the elements that are already existing in order to create something that is new or better. Okay, so all right, I guess that's where everything. Now, there's one thing that's where everything comes together, but there's one thing that I also find interesting, and that's what happens after the sale. Talk to us about that.
Well, it's consistent with some things we've seen in the past, but it was clear to us as well that we people think about my best prospects are my current clients or my existing clients. And that's true, especially in high-end complex sales. The buyer has gone through a long series of things to select somebody. They don't want to change necessarily. But what we found, I think surprising to a degree, is that what happens in that first sales process strongly influences not only the repeat buying, but also the willingness to refer. So think about it. The way that sales process went, the way that you connected were proactive, showed that you were superior, made it easy to buy, all these things that happen in the sales process will influence very strongly the next sale as well. Because sometimes people may hire you because you were the best one right now and we'll work with you. But next time we're going to start the process a little early and find somebody because you were difficult. And the other thing is, if even if I may have hired you, again, it may not have been the perfect situation. I'm not going to put any of my referrals at risk or any of my contacts at risk by referring you. So what you do in the sales process, what you do in the buying selling process for somebody who is a buyer really radically affects how much they're going to stick with you and whether they're going to refer you. And so when I know that sometimes you have sellers who might dismiss a prospect or may not or get overconfident once they sell somebody, remember what you're doing in that sales conversation has as much of an influence as perhaps as delivery. So don't just think it's all about delivery. It's what you did to get them. And that was, I think, one of the big takeaways for us is that recognizing that the sales process will affect the next step as well.
Right. And so what you're saying in a sense, and I love this, is that if you do a good job and you cover all bases in this sale, you not only set yourself up really well for future sales, but also for referral sales. And let's face it, referral sales are what it's all about, right? I mean,
Right.
they are, I mean, I don't even need to get into it. I'm sure everybody watching this understands how important referrals are. So let me ask you a final or a pre-final question, John, which is, what are the top three things, tangible, practical things, takeaways that people watching this can do right now to benefit from these new insights in this research?
I think the number one thing is to really step back and look at how you approach what you're offering and think what how can uh, introduce new perspectives into the conversation, to really step back and say, what am I doing that provides value in the conversation? What am I doing that provides value as I talk in terms of new perspectives? Because if I really want to win a lot, I have to be able to do that at some point. So that's number one. The second thing I think they have to do is rethink and always be rethinking their value. I think what happens for a lot of sellers, and especially in the complex sales service industries as well, is they forget what the value is, or they make assumptions. I love it when people say, we can't get the fees we used to get. Well, they can't get the fees they used to get because their value has changed. And I find very successful firms sow the seed for their future failure because they get complacent and they think they are still the best kids on the block. And they have to think, really go back and rethink that value and convince. So that convince part. And the last thing that I would have people take away is don't don't neglect that first part about connecting, about the relationships, about how to do that. And so I would continue to think of how to build the relationships, how to maintain those with clients. Don't assume that your clients are going to stay with you, so continue to work those relationships. Part of that is going to be certainly bringing new ideas, but don't underplay that. While relationships used to be the only thing you needed, so I would ask my friends, who should I work with? And they say, use that person. I'd say, great hire. That doesn't happen now because the internet allows people to find other providers. But don't downplay it. Don't dismiss it and say it's no longer valuable. So don't leave that behind.
All right, so the three things people can do watching this right now is think about what is really new about what you're bringing, what is really new and different. The second thing is make sure that you think about the value that you deliver, and two are related, but it's not the same thing. It's not just because it's new and different that it provides value, and vice versa. Value is more than being new and different. There's a lot of value in things that are not per se new and different. And then the third thing is, consider the relationship. Keep working on the relationship. Keep, checking, peak. Keep making sure that you're on the same page. And some of this reminds me of the work that you guys have been doing with Andrew Sobel on how to position yourself as an advisor. Because in a sense, if you're doing those three things, if you're covering the relationship, if you're coming up with new insights, and if you're making sure that you provide value all the time and consistently, and in its widest variety of forms, well, ultimately, I guess in a sense that comes very close to the definition of an advisor and someone who senior executives want to build a long-term relationship with. So. With that, John, this is really my final question. How can people get in touch with you and find out more?
If people want to find out more, they can go to our website, which is raingroup.com. They can contact me on Twitter at John E as in Edward, Doerr. Or they can email me. I'm glad to talk to anyone with the email at jdoerr, Doerr, @raingroup.com. And I'd love to hear from anybody who wants to continue this conversation.
All right, very good. John, thank you for that. If they email you, and I think you guys are coming out with this report in the next few weeks or something, and I think there's going to be some more communication around this. If people want to find out more, I'm assuming when they email you, you'd be happy to send them a copy of a white paper or something, which has more information, right?
Absolutely. The white paper comes out in a couple weeks. So if you email me soon, you'll be on the front of the list to get the white paper when it comes out.
Very good. Get on the hot list. Unfortunately, if you get on, you'll have to be behind me because I'll be the first one signing up. So,
Right.
with that, John, thanks so much for being on the Coaching Masters. It was an absolute pleasure. I know this research is tremendously exciting. When I read it, I had several things that sort of, moments where the light went on, and it's definitely already impacting my approach to selling. So with that, thank you for being on the Coaching Masters.
Thank you, Ago.